How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Positive Mindset Podcast, where we come together to raise our vibration, lift our perspective, and build that positive mindset. My name is Henry, and I'm so thankful to have each and every one of you here today because in this episode, we're going to talk about how to attract the life that you desire. If you're tired of chasing, if you're tired of looking, and you just want to become and feel and receive a certain way, this is going to be the episode for you because we're going to talk about how to tap into that high positive frequency. But before we get started, we're going to take a few moments to slow down, zero in. We're going to take some deep, healing, meditative breaths to help us align on the frequency that we want in our lives. So pick a word. It could be love, joy, happiness, abundance, whatever frequency you want. And we're going to take a deep breath in. And as you're breathing in, you're going to say that word over and over and over again. Really charge yourself up with that energy. And then as you're holding your breath, visualize yourself doing something in that frequency. And once you exhale, anything that no longer resonates with you will leave you and you'll be in a more positive state. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. And out. We're going to take another deep breath. This one's about alignment, about getting ourselves in receiving mode so that we can receive the message that we need to hear to get us in that positive perspective. So just imagine that you are surrounded by the most healing, uplifting energy that's meant specifically for you. It can have a certain color, a certain taste, a certain smell, however you imagine it. And when you breathe it in, it's going to charge you up. It's going to break down the negativity, the blocks, the weight, everything that's just been holding you back. And once you exhale, anything that no longer resonates with you will leave you and you'll be in a more positive state. So let's go ahead and take another deep breath in. And out. Well, before we get started, if there's something that resonates with you in this episode, something that you take away, if you're on YouTube or Spotify, you can actually leave a comment. Not only does it help it become more discoverable, but someone might read that comment and it might inspire them to give this episode a shot. My goal is to make this the #1 mindset podcast in the world, and the best way to do that would be with your help. So whether you leave a comment, leave a like, or share it with somebody, it means the absolute world to me, and I can never thank you enough. But let's dive into today's episode. So this one's actually inspired by somebody, a client that I'm working with, and I think this is going to be a powerful message. I hope it not only resonates with them, but it resonates with you because this one is so true. It really had me thinking, really had me, reflecting on how we shift and receive a certain way. And so here's the image I have in my mind. Think of a magnet. So you have this magnet and it's there. That magnet has a certain polarity and it's going to attract that same thing. This is how the law of attraction works. This magnet is always working. It never stops. It will always be attracted to that unless you turn off its magnetic capabilities. And of course, that's killing the magnet. So that's as if we were to die. You are this magnet. If you want to attract something different, you as the magnet have to become something different. Your polarity of what you attract has to become something different. The frequency that resides within you has to become something different. This is why it's always internal work. You see, if you're a magnet and you attract a certain thing, you can't just put different things there hoping that they will attract. They will push away. They will not be able to stick together. So if you don't like what you're attracting, stop looking at the external and start looking internal. Start focusing on how do I shift me? Now, I've mentioned this. There's so many ways to make the shift. I believe self-talk is one of the most important ones. It's not because the words, it's what those words represent. You see, words represent frequency. They represent energy. So the type of things that you say, the type of things that you think, the type of things that you listen to, like allow into your mind and actually have conversation with, are the frequency that you're operating in. If you want to shift that, you have to start changing those. Your self-talk is first. You have to build your self-talk to be the frequency that you desire. But next, you have to look at your circle of influence. If you have a spouse, no matter how much you love them, no matter how much you care for them, if their conversations, the way they speak, the way they think, the way they talk about things, the way they look at things is not in alignment with you, then that has to change. Because if you allow it around you, it is a part of your frequency. See, you can grow and stay the same at the same time. If you can see my hands right now, imagine this is you. This is the peak of you, and this is the low frequency of you. You can grow up and expand that energy. And by up, I don't mean better. You can just expand that frequency. But this bottom frequency, if it doesn't change either, which this is the tolerance, this is what you allow in your area, if that doesn't change, you just widen. And when you widen, you don't actually change. You still are a magnetic pull to those frequencies. You're just expanding perception. You have to be able to lift the tolerance to, no matter where it's coming from. Whether it's coming from work, a friend, yourself, a spouse, a family member, you have to be aware of those energies. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It doesn't mean they're not a good person. They can be the best person in the world. But if their frequency is not what you want, you have to recognize that if you're allowing them around you, if you're engaging in their thought patterns and their conversations, then your frequency is aligned with that, and that will be your experience. So if you want to change it, first, go within, look at your thoughts, look at your perception of self, look at how you conduct yourself. Do your habits align with the version of you that you'd like to attract or the version of you that you'd like to be? Start there. Then start looking at the inputs. So it's not the person. You're not looking at the spouse. You're not looking at the boss. You're not looking at the friend or the family member. You're looking at the frequency that they represent. So just as you've analyzed your thoughts, just as you've analyzed the words that you speak, just as you analyze the actions that you take, now look at the external for those. Those are indicators. They are not a cause of anything, but their frequency resonates with you if you allow it. That's why you have to be aware of it. And if they don't, whether it's their thoughts, the way they see the world, the way they speak, the way their actions, if they don't align, that's when a boundary is probably appropriate. When you put the boundary, you are telling the universe that I don't align with this frequency anymore. And so you're not going to need the boundary forever. The boundary is just to help you heal, to help you grow, to help you find self, because it's putting a wall between something else's energy affecting yours so you can focus on yours. So you start to put the boundaries. You start to change your thoughts. You're saying the positive I am statements. You have the positive vision of where you're trying to create. You start putting in the positive actions, your wake up time, your exercise, your meditation, all of those things. Your self-care is alignment with what you want to become. Eventually, the law of attraction, which is always working, starts to pull some other things in your life. You see, your perception is your reception. That magnetic pull is how you see and receive the world. So as you start raising your perception, you start seeing and receiving the world in a different way. And the old things that you had to put boundaries on, whether it's the family member, the friend, the spouse, the work environment, whatever it is, you don't need the boundary anymore because your magnetic status changes and you can no longer be attracted. And when you have the magnets that don't attract, they actually push against each other. They repel each other. That's what will happen when you shift your energy. So if you're in a frequency now that you no longer desire, you have to understand that you're pushing away what it is that you do desire. Every time you try to get close to it, every time you try to grab it, you push it away because your magnet is opposite of that. So they're pushing away from each other. The polarities don't match. But as you start changing within, as you start leveling up, lifting your frequency, lifting your perception, you start attracting these things. They start coming to you. That's why you say don't chase, you become. You don't search externally, you search internally and change the system within. As you change that frequency, as you level up, you no longer need the boundaries. They are automatic because your frequency will not align with them, and so the magnets will push against each other. So if you want to create the most amazing life, if you want to experience the things that truly resonate with you, if you want to be able to travel with certain people and it be a peaceful, fun environment, if you want to be able to feel a natural state at all times, you have to love the frequency that you're in. You see, when you love the frequency that you're in, all aspects of it, what you allow in, you'll eventually attract similarities. There is no separation. There is no separation between me and you. We are the same. So when our frequencies are aligned, it feels like being with oneself. It feels like the best experience you could have by yourself. Think about that moment. This always comes to my mind. I don't know why. It was when I was younger and I would take a break from work. I remember sitting in my car. It was break time. It was kind of cool outside, but the sun was warm. Sitting in the car, you feel the warmth of the sun. You're just relaxing. You got a 20-minute break. This is probably 19 or 20. You have the warmth of the sun. You can kind of hear the traffic going back and forth. So you just have this like relaxed atmosphere. You're almost just at peace. At that moment, I was just resonating. I was just vibing in that frequency. Once you learn how to create that feeling within you at all times, that doesn't mean there won't be hard things. That doesn't mean you won't cry, you won't have pain, you won't go through things. You absolutely will, but you'll have a centering to pull yourself back to. You have a point of perspective that you can pull yourself back to. But when you line that up, because that has to be built, that is not given, that is built. When you build it up, the frequency that you desire, then the people that you bring into your life will be magnetic attractors to that. They won't be what you need, they'll be what you are always. They'll be what fulfills always. And you'll be in this lockstep connection. I know you've met people like that, whether it's a couple, people at work, a group of friends, where they're just synergetically aligned. They almost don't have to finish sentences. They can look at each other and know the feeling, know what they're going to do next. That's available to you. But it's all within. It's never external. It's never their fault. They are not the bad guy. Even if they're doing bad things, they are not the bad guy. You have the power. Give yourself permission to become the rising tide that lifts all ships. Well, thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode was impactful and gave you a perspective on your current situation and how you can empower yourself to become what it is that you wish to receive. If you want to make sure you don't miss a single episode, make sure you subscribe to my email list. There's a link down below. It will keep you up to date with every single episode. And if you want to follow me on social media, there's my Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook group all down below, so I appreciate all the follows there. If you're listening to this episode and you want to make this shift, if you want to work with somebody that can help you align your mindset with the frequency that you want to become, this is what I do. I'm a mindset coach. I help people get into the state of being that they desire. If you want more information on this, you can reach out to me via Instagram, which is probably the best way, or there's a link down below. If you fill that out, I will get back to you as soon as I have some more availability. Well, thank you so much for listening. Have a great day, and I can't wait to talk to you next time.